we frame or we put on a wall. It's how we show up. It is our decisions, our relationships, and the impact we choose to make every single day. But purpose alone does not shift systems. Communities does. And that's what this room represents today with every one of you here today, a community of young leaders who believe that profit and impact can and must work together. A community that understands that Africa's potential is real and that we are responsible for shaping it. And I want to say, as we gather here today, I invite you to reconnect with each other, to your purpose, to each other, and to the work of building businesses that last, that uplift, and that contributes to a better future. So listen today, share, learn, lift each other up, because we can go so much further, as the proverbs say, African proverbs say, when we work together. And the future we want for Africa depends on purpose-driven leadership. So let us choose to be those leaders every single day. And I want to say to all of you today, you've got no better example in the room than an organization that really lives and breathes purpose, and that's Safaricom. And when you hear today, listening to everybody talking, just learn, reflect, and ask questions. And I want to say to you, as we gather here today as well, not just as individuals, but as 9 cohorts, one community, I invite you to again to reconnect to your own purpose with honesty and openness. And again, I want to say, lean in, reflect, share your experience, the wins and the hard lessons. And most importantly, see the people around you as partners along the journey. Because the Africa we want to build, one where business drives shared prosperity and dignity, we need to build together. So let us lead with intention, let us lead with courage, let us lead with purpose. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you so much, Tiki. Let us lead with courage. Let us lead with purpose. Amazing, amazing. Such an inspiring, opening remarks, and who better to kick us, into a mode of inspired conversation and learning. Thank you so much, Tiki, for that. Before we move to the next item on the agenda, let me launch a poll now. We are currently in the phase of developing our social impact report, our impact report from the Shared Value Africa perspective. And we would want to hear a few things from our leaders, from our entrepreneurs, to understand how the purpose, led conversation, the strategy side of things, how you are integrating shared value strategy in your business. And with our cohorts here, it would be nice to see how your journey, ever since you were part of the training program, how you have, transitioned and how you're growing. And so I'm launching a poll now. The first poll is actually on shared value strategy. If you can see it, please answer the first question, which is basically on the following, does the following best describe your primary motivation for addressing a social or environmental issue through your core business model? Right, your core business model. So there are options there. The first option is a social issue presented a clear, profitable, unmet customer need, and that's mainly on unlocking your market. And then the next one is addressing the social issue, local skills gap, reduced my operational cost, or secured my supply chain. I see people are already answering the first question. Amazing. Please answer. Let us know what your motivation, what best describes your primary motivation for addressing, social and environmental issues. And then also the second question is basically on how effective is your company measuring the financial value created by your social or environmental impact initiatives. So we want to understand the effectiveness of a company in measuring your financial value created by, these social and environmental impact initiatives that you undertake. It could be on, this social and environmental impact initiative has quantified cost savings from reduced energy use or new revenue. So let us know. Let us know. Is it highly effective? Is it moderately effective? Are you now starting? Are you now starting where we are only tracking? You're only tracking the direct cost of initiative, or not effective at all? We want to really understand so that our interventions and our work would be tailored to you. We have 24, no, 29, almost 29 participants here on the call. It's a recorded session, so we're definitely going to make it live on our YouTube channel. So your answers really matters. Please respond. We'll definitely come back to this the course of the program. So please make sure to respond. If you've already responded, thank you so much. Still have a few more to go. That's no. Awesome. I end the poll now. Share the result later, and then we would, and then we'll proceed with our program. Awesome. Great. We'll come back to this. All right. So thank you all for responding. Okay. Our next item on the agenda is actually a fireside chat with this man. He's a very serious man, just as you've seen in his face on the picture. He's a very, very serious guy. He does a lot of serious things, building one of the most thriving secularity enterprises on the continent. And if you Google his name right now, you see that he's an African business hero, received so many awards, just being an entrepreneur with an exception, in terms of how he drives his leadership, in terms of strategy, in terms of connecting with partners, and then building a shared value entity that really seeks to address some of the hydra-headed challenges in our waste and then circularity, sectors. Help me welcome Prince Kwame Agbata, and he has a name also. In addition to his many names that he has, his Chizom. So if you can hear me, Prince, let's see your face now. He's changing every day in terms of his looks, and God is blessing him with so many good things. And anytime I speak to him, I get so inspired. He's a big brother, and also really in the shared value community, one of the active members as part of our work that we do in the shared value community. The first time that he was on the stage with the shared value was in 2018. Tiki told me this, and I was like, wow, the guy has been a part of the journey, and we build in Shared Value Africa. He knows the story and he understands the mission, and he's driving this with his business. And so, Prince, welcome. Please tell us something quick. What have you been up to in recent time, and how busy are you now?
Thanks, Andrews. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tiki. Thanks to Tharbel and all the team at Shared Value. Great. I'm actually on vacation. We're in Marrakesh and then currently in Lagos with my wife. And also looking at so in Lagos is vacation, looking at some business opportunities here. So if anyone is in Lagos, we can catch up right after. If you have some time, we can always catch up. So yeah, glad to be here, Bruce. Let's do this.
Awesome. Great to have you here. And I want to spotlight you and I as speakers for this conversation. So I'm spotlighting you on the screen now. And then we will have a conversation that really is about entrepreneurship. Let us know from how you started this big enterprise. There's a story always behind the fame and the pictures and everything that we see. So help help a young person here appreciate the journey. Now you are one of the most valued, I'll say, startups from Ghana, and as an individual, you've been on many platforms. How did you start, with this project called COLIBA? I still see it as a project. It's like a mission. You're on a mission. Why did you start it? And what are you seeking to really do, with COLIBA?
Yeah, thanks, Andrews. This has always been one of the toughest questions sometimes I find to answer. I think prior to starting COLIBA, I attended the Ghana Technology University, graduated first class with computer science. I proud that I was interning at Google at the Accra office, and the plan has always been to move to DC because I loved entrepreneurship. And I loved sorry, I've been saying entrepreneurship for long. I loved coding back then
Mm,
in 2015, 2014. I was a programmer, and the plan was to move, just like any dream of a programmer, to move to either Seattle or DC to continue your programming work. And I had gotten my visa. I was on that transition journey to move to the US. This was in 2015. I had graduated from the university working with Google Accra office. The plan was to move to the US Google office. And then, there was a disaster in 2015, 3rd June, flood
mm,
disaster. So those of you watching, if you Google 3rd June flood disaster, more than 205 people died to fire and flood disaster because our drains were flooded with plastics. So our drains were choked with plastics, which led to massive flooding. And on that Wednesday, which is that particular day, I lost my friend to that flood disaster because we had booked a swimming, moving people hotel. That particular spot had a bar station. So if you're familiar with Accra, the bank, there was a Ghana Commercial Bank close to where the major disaster happened. There was a bar
mm,
station there. So he was waiting for me to pick him up. And that was how there was flooding and the explosion as well. So he died not just from the flooding, but excessive burns. Weeks later, the news was because of the main drainage systems choked with waste. So the tragedy made the problem deeply personal for me. I realized that plastic was not an environmental issue, it was costing lives. And so I started rethinking. I remember a few days later, there was issues about cleanup, community cleanups around that same area. I joined the cleanup efforts. We will clean up, but back in 2015, nobody was picking your bottles. So, but those bottles are called PET bottles. So your soda
mm,
bottles, your water bottles, no one was picking them. So you will find women who will pick up the sachets. So sachets are in Africa, western part of Africa. I know in East Africa it's been banned, but we drink water in punches. These are small punches that we drink water because it's way cheaper. So those punches were very, very valuable. You will find women picking them up, but nobody will pick up those bottles. So we will clean up and call Zoom Lion. Zoom Lion was the biggest waste management company back then. Coliba hadn't yet been born. So Zoom Lion will pick them up and still take them back to the landfill. And then on the landfill, the pickets will still pick them up. So this was something I started thinking around and like, we don't have to keep giving it to Zoom Lion. I started collecting them and I'll bring them to my mom's garage. And then the garage was full because we had an estate in Tesano. The garage was full and it became a problem, and I needed to find a solution to that problem until we were able to build a local crusher that would crush them into pieces. And I was able to find a buyer a year later in 2016 who was able to take our first material. So that was how that's how COLIBA started. It started as a movement, a cleanup. We were doing multiple cleanups in various locations. And then in 2017, we decided, why don't we make this a business? So
mm.
that's how we start.
Amazing. So, starting with a movement, more like a moment of, and also like a moment of tragedy, like inspiring this and then driving it from a problem solving, I mean, immediate problem solving perspective, building a movement around it. Now you are basically leveraging technology now. You have something like Uber for plastic recycling, app, and then you are now building physical infrastructure, from the buyback centers now for plastics, and then there are so many things happening now with COLIBA. I mean, from 2015 now to 2025, it's really been a journey of resilience, a journey of innovation, and of course, from a leadership perspective, it feels like you are moved or driven by a certain strategy. Help us appreciate this. How do you balance innovation with the practical realities of this logistics challenges that businesses like yours face, and then getting that community buy-in on the ground in Ghana? How are you balancing this from your own innovation with the practical realities that is facing you, you know, uh, paying bills, solving your, staffing issues, and then the realities of, let's say, logistics, and then now the community itself that has to buy your solution and then work with you. How is it going on that sort of front? How is it going with that?
Well, I came to learn that innovation must be practical, otherwise it costs you a lot of money.
Mm,
So as a software guy, what I did was launch into building an app, which was a Uber for waste management. We built the first app, but Andrews, it was not practical. Back in 2015, we built an app for waste management, which was like an Uber. Technology is not as it was today. It was not really practical. It was too early. There was no quick adoption. The entire value chain was informal. The waste speakers we deal with even didn't have smartphones. They used YAM, which is feature phones. So far as they can make calls and receive SMS, that was it. And so what we needed to do was to focus on building trust and convenience, right? People were not interested in the flashy tech. They needed,
mm,
can we
mm,
that you will pay us when we bring the materials, right?
mhm,
Can we
mhm,
trust when we go and collect, and after 1 month of collection, you don't show up, then what happens? Because nobody is actually paying us for these materials. And then what is that convenience? You actually pick it up for us. Because if I store it, I live in a compound house, I have neighbors around, and I live in a
mhm,
single room apartment. There is no space, a crowded accommodation. If you don't pick up, then there's a problem. So people needed that trust and convenience, and we needed to provide that. And so what we realized that we built an app that was in a silo, costing us money to maintain. We were burning around $2,000 back in 2015 a month on, the server calls and maintenance costs. And most of the people who were using it were out of reach in terms of being waste speakers. So we needed to invest more in community engagement. We needed to invest in buyback centers. And these buyback centers, we needed to create it with waste speakers. So we sat down with speakers and we said, how can we create a collection center that is convenient and works for you, that can allow you to bring those materials to those centers so that we can be able to aggregate a lot in those centers and we can be able to collect, because collection costs a lot. Ghana is not like Nigeria where we drove fuels ourselves. We import most of our fuels. The refineries doesn't work. So we need to make sure we're able to collect a lot to be able to define effective transportation that would make sense for us, because now we wanted to process. The app was not making revenue for us. We started the app with my personal money, invested too much money in it. Don't forget, I went to the US. I came
yes.
back in and then I decided to stay and I bent cash as quick as possible. And then I needed to either start making money or go back to my dream career. But by then, we have impacted so many pickers in the value chain that wanted this to continue. And so we needed to balance it by listening to people. We co-created collection systems with the waste pickers, and then we're able to now remove the app and do it what we call SMS. At some point, we had an SMS integration
Mhm.
where people can just send SMS to a star 775. We had this. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
We had an SMS.
There's a
Am I
bit of a
breaking?
break. There was a bit of a break, but uh,
It's better
yeah,
now.
it's better now. It's better. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So we had to now break down the technology into a feature that works for waste pickers, which is SMS and voice, where we were recording in Chi, in Hausa, and in local dialect so that we could integrate waste pickers and then make it a web platform. So if you go to our website, we have a form where you can fill in a pickup request that automatically goes to a waste picker that is closer to you for pickup. So we've been adaptive, and adaptation is what has to balance at COLIBA.
Amazing. We've been adaptive. You realize that some innovations are too early. Technology is not always the panacea. Sometimes it's good to just wait and build with the user in mind. It feels like that is what you're saying. Build with the user. So you go back to the community and then make sure that your value proposition actually addresses a pain point, not the flashy and all the things that will look nice. Nice to have, but quite expensive to maintain. Thank you. That's so inspiring. Let's say something or talk a little bit about creating shared value. You have been almost like a classic example of what it means to be profitable while tackling a massive social and environmental issue. How do you define success at COLIBA? And with this, I'll add a few thoughts to this. You know, it is purely in terms of tons of plastics recycled, or is it the socio-economic impact, like job creation for women, and that you would say that when we talk about success at COLIBA, it's really about how we support people to access joy, especially our women. And you have this female programs that you also embark on. And there are a few things that I know about COLIBA that are quite inspiring. With the women waste speakers, you have some welfare schemes and things like that. Back in 2019 or 2020, I saw some news articles and things like that on there. So help us appreciate this. You want to be profitable while tackling this massive social, economic, or social and environmental issue. Help us appreciate the definition of success within that shared value framework. And then, yeah, a thing or two about the things that I just shared now, from a tons of plastic recycled or the socio-economic impact like job creation for women. How would you weigh those two things in terms of your success definition?
Yeah, thanks, Andrews. I think the right word is for us, success is multi-dimensional. So success is multi-dimensional. So one, we measure success by the tons of materials we collect, because the waste business is quantity business. Any big waste company will tell you the more we collect, the more we recycle, because your profits are very, very little. So if you can collect more, then for instance, you collect for every ton you collect, maybe you're making $10. So in order to hit that $30, $50,000 profit, you need to recycle as more. So it's about the tons we collect, but also more importantly, it's about the lives we transform, right? So we had workers that we have, waste pickers that we put out of the landfills, which were single mothers that were living on the landfills, picking from the landfills in an unsafe environment. And we brought them into a safe ecosystem. We are paying a third wage. So it's about economic justice. It's about what we call gender inclusion, ensuring that our motor riders, our tricycle riders, not only ride electric tricycles, but also they are women. All of our buyback centers are managed by women instead of that, because for instance, all the buyback centers for e-waste, and before we came in for e-waste and plastic, are run by northern men. So there are these northern men from northern part of Ghana that are they run all the buyback centers. So when COLIBA started our buyback centers, the question was that, can women lift it? Can they weigh it? It's a strong work. We said, no, we are going to empower the women to do same, because the salaries were very good salaries. These are women that are paid about 2,000 cedis a month. 2,000 cedis is about $180 Why can't they do it? Let's empower the women to do it. And of course, we have women running them. So this is for us success. It's multidimensional. We need to make money by collecting more, but also ensuring that we ensure gender inclusion, economic justice, and community empowerment for all.
Amazing. Wow. So audience and my people connected, please, if there are questions, please write them in the chat box. I have like 2 minutes to go. And just like what Prince is saying now, this is almost like a classic case of what we mean by creating shared value. So there is a profitability side, but he's driven with purpose. Driven with purpose to make sure that women are economically empowered. Especially because yeah, it's hard for women to get access to this sort of type of jobs, and it's always quite difficult to measure that, especially when it comes to the whole job creation, access to employment, narrative. So, thank you so much for what you do, Prince. It's just incredible. I'm inspired. I know somebody here is inspired. I've seen all the clubs coming in. Let's wrap up with a question. It's an interesting question, something I always want to ask entrepreneurs like yourself. When it comes to building partnerships and driving impact at scale, you need people. You need people. So it's a two-pronged question, like to the team to work with, and the people to collaborate with to drive impact at scale. So by collaboration, you're looking at, I always think about investment from in the context of partnership. So somebody is interested in your work, they're inspired by what you do, they want to put money into it. So they will first trust you to give you the money, but they also want to earn, ROIs and all that. So when it comes to your team, help somebody appreciate how you built your team. Maybe in a few sentences on the value side of things, people who would be aligned with you to say that I believe in the vision that you are driving. I want to work with you and sacrifice with you and go through the muddy waters with you and also reach the cliff top with you. And then there's also the people who would handhold you and say that I'll commit resources to you, I'll work with you. So help us appreciate this. How have you navigated this, and what perhaps would be your top two non-negotiable criteria, that you look out for when forging new partnerships, and then working with people of like-mindedness or people of similar values and passion and drive. Help us appreciate that, because for me, I think when there's a solid team, the vision really stays alive. And when there's somebody to commit money into it, then boy, you are going to grow sustainably. So help us appreciate this as a leader. You know.
Well, for me, it's don't get me wrong, Andrews. We've made systematic mistakes in terms of partnerships. A lot of them went very, very south, very bad. So we realized that there were corporates that were looking to do greenwashing, right? So when I say greenwashing, they had funds they need to wash, and they had perhaps they had a head office in UK or in the US, and they have sustainable goals or targets. And so in order to make that fast, they are looking at the output. So these are output focused organizations. So they come to us and say, okay, we have $20,000. I want you to do this, but we need to report X amount of materials that we have recycled to you. And so at that early stage, I took that money as COLIBA because we needed it. We saw it as an input that can do ABC, help us empower our collectors, and more importantly, we were looking at the input, the process, the system. And then we went into that partnership, and they started pushing for data. They need data, they need output. We need to push it out there. But in every business, we expected them to go through the process with us, understand what the community engagement has been, what the conversations has been, what the issues has been, but they didn't care. Hey, our HQ needs data. We need data. And that was frustrating. I just wish I had money to give them their money back. It was the most frustrating, and this was a very, very global brand, and they didn't care. I mean, the CEO told me, we don't care. We just per the MOU, we need the output. It's as simple as that. And so that taught me a big lesson that going forward, I think this was around 2020, 2021. We started with thinking partnership in terms of aligned value. There has to be alignment in value. We've rejected a lot of money going forward. I mean, we don't, if the client doesn't align with us, we don't need it. There are investors that we rejected. I could tell you are aware of this. Even Cote d'Ivoire office, we rejected
Yes,
some.
yes, yes.
So we need to be seriously aligned
Mm.
in terms of the long-term journey, long-term commitment that people have to understand what we do, why we do what we do, and we need to be aligned. Not just in grants, especially grants can be pretty dangerous if they are project-based. The
Mm.
donor typically what to do with the money. And for us, integrity is very key. The grant says you have to do this on water. Meanwhile, the most significant impact is not water. It's about something else. So because you need that money, you said, okay, let me just try and designate some amount of money on water and siphon some parts into this type of that can be very risky. So to entrepreneurs here, integrity is very key. If you know it will not work for you, and if you know it will cripple you, because if we don't implement it well, it's better to say no to that kind of money. We've had that kind of situation where we had a kind of challenge with the company. So long-term commitment is very important. Can the company go long-term with you? I don't want to mention a few companies' name, but the bottom
It's
line
okay.
is that has always been the core. And we have
Yeah,
businesses that believe this and work with us along the line.
that's right.
One of them, IMP invested in us. Even though in 2020 to 2023, our financials was very bad. This was
Mm.
when Russia-Ukraine war started. We had shipped materials and we lost about $83,000 because the company collapsed. This is a company in Eastern Europe and that has shut down. We lost our Russian market. We were shipping materials to Russia. Export became very volatile. Even today,
Mm.
Europe is very volatile.
That's
And
right.
so, what that caused us to do is our partners who invested in us understood this market. They look at the
Wow.
financials, it was terrible. I used to be invested in COLIBA. Like these are the kind of partners you should be looking for, right? And now COLIBA has diversified where we've reduced our export from 100% export to currently our export stands at 60%. The other 40% is making local products that are staying in the local economy. We're doing hangers, we're doing flower pots, we're doing pegs. We're now looking at doing sockets. All of these for materials that women have sourced locally and then we're making a made in Ghana products that can be used in Ghana. So these are some of the things we're doing here at COLIBA.
Amazing. Amazing. Ah, goodness. My people, this is the way to go. Find the partner who would align with you with shared value mindsets, right? And they would grow with you. They would invest in you not to tick the boxes. Greenwashing, impact washing is real. And my great brother he has walked the talk. There are a few things that he might not be able to touch base here because of time, but it's been incredible. I mean, it's been an amazing journey so far. And there's a question here that I think Robert, Mr. Donko, good to have you on the call. So Robert is saying, what informed the name COLIBA? It resonates with him so well. So maybe this will be our last comment. And Tiki shared a few comments here. I think we touched on it, about what forging new partnerships across borders look like. You've done a lot with global partners. I mean, now multinationals are even knocking on your door. There are a few things that you're also building in the pipeline. So I think you touched a bit on that. But the name COLIBA, what is the meaning and why COLIBA? Maybe that would be the assign out comments. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry about that. So the name COLIBA, I don't know, but COLIBA is an Hausa name. Those of you from Nigeria and Ghana, it's Korba, which means
Yeah.
bottle. So it's a
Bottles.
popular spoken name in West Africa. It's a spoken language in West Africa. So the word Korba, which is Korba, is called bottle. And in Ghana, when we were children, I remember when I was 16, 14, there are people from the northern part of Ghana who will come and knock on your doors and will say, COLIBA people, COLIBA, 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 they have arrived. So these people, they buy your Coca-Cola bottles. Back then, they were nothing like plastic bottles.
That's right.
Early 90s, right? So they'll buy your bottles, your Milo cans and everything, they'll pay you for it. So now they don't really do that anymore. I don't know where they are anymore. So when we started, we realized that it's basically the same thing we're doing. We are collecting the plastic bottles and we are paying people for them. So we said it's the new type of COLIBA. So we just gave the name COLIBA. That's how we got the name COLIBA. So I hope it answers the question.
Oh, I mean, this is amazing. Thank you for sharing. Inspiring, guys. Guys, please let's give a digital clap for our friend, for our brother, um, Prince Kwame Agbata Chizom. He's on a journey and he's redefined what it means to actually build, a thriving waste management circularity enterprise. Digital clubs, and then also write something in chat box to give some shout outs. We have our next conversation coming up shortly. Thank you so much, Prince. I think you'll be here for a while, right? You'll be here for a while, so hopefully you can interact with us, via the chats and all that. Many, many times. His name is the same on LinkedIn and across, social media. He's also a vociferous reader and writer. I mean, he writes a lot, so about the work he's doing and everything, in between. So kudos, Prince, and amazing work, as I shared already. Okay, so guys, I'll need all of you to help me respond to my next poll before I bring our next speaker. Our next speaker is actually is going to be a guest chat with two of Africa's finest women, actually, who are respectively doing amazing things within their field of expertise. One is with a telecommunication and almost it's a nice company. I mean, it's a shared value, classic leading shared value entity called Safaricom PLC. And then there's the other one who is also with an entity that really thinks and knows about how entrepreneurs ought to survive and thrive on the continent. That's with Jasiri. Jasiri, if you are in East Africa, you may hear a lot about Jasiri. They're part of the Alan and Gray Foundation. And these ladies are going to share, few things about how you as an entrepreneur would survive and thrive and do well whilst doing good at the same time. But before I welcome them, let me let me let me launch our next poll, and then let us know what you think or what. Yeah, let us know what it is to really build a thriving business. With the ecosystem with the ecosystem. So I'll launch a second poll. The first poll, we had a few answers. I'll launch it again if there's time. I'm looking at my time, so trying to make sure that I don't go, too much into your plans for the day. So it's launched. If you can see the screen, please let us know how significant is your current shared value model in facilitating or benefiting from cross-border trade and expansion within Africa. Uh, and just hearing from Prince with the story that he shared so far, you would also obviously know that there's a lot that you and I can do to make sure we build shared value businesses that would hopefully, cross border and expand within Africa. Wow, we have 40% of us, very significant. I'm already seeing the response. Please let us know. And if you could also, I mean, the second question is there. If you could respond to that quickly, would appreciate that. The second question, I added it with a certain thinking that what would really be the stumbling block, to convince an African investor to invest in you, more like a long-term investment. Hearing from Prince, you know that you need investors or partners, funders who would really stay with you, not just for the numbers, not just for a checklist, and want to appreciate what would be your single biggest barrier to convincing mainstream African investors, investors that are domiciled on the continent, the long-term financial viability of a shared value model, So let us know. Wow, I need the first one. Investors demand fast returns and struggle with, it's something that we need to really solve. So please help us. There's something that we are working on the Shared Value Africa side, and we really want to support our entrepreneurs. I think we are the best friends of African entrepreneurs on the continent. So please share your infos with us and help us to support your work. So the first question, how significant is your current shared value model? And then the second one is, from your experience, what is the single biggest barrier to convincing mainstream African investors, to really invest in you in a shared value business like yours? Awesome. Thank you. Wow. Many thanks for your feedback, for your response. Please, if time allows, I'm going to really, at some points in the conversation, I'll launch the poll again for folks that couldn't answer the first one, because I think whilst we're in the session, a lot of people joined in. So I'm going to launch it again. We need your feedback on this. It really does go a long way to support you as an entrepreneur, because we are here for you. We really work for you. That's all we do at the Shared Value Africa. Thank you. Awesome. So I'll end the poll now and then show you the results later. Awesome. Many thanks. Okay, so we're still going live and strong. And as I said, our next speakers are people on the ground. They are on the ground. When I say on the ground, I mean they are walking the talk. They are building entities on a daily basis. They are interacting, interfacing with entrepreneurs from a sustainability perspective, from a community building perspective. They are really doing a lot. Please help me welcome my sisters and friends and amazing leaders in their own right. Serro, who is a senior manager and senior manager sustainability at Safaricom PLC. Help me welcome her. If you are here, say a hi to us, and then we would invite Lilian also.
Good afternoon from Nairobi. I hope I'm audible.
Loud and clear. Love it. Thank you.
Actually, I should have said good afternoon from a very sunny Nairobi. Tiki sending you sunshine.
We are in a cloudy part of town also, and good to know my friends in South Africa also having a cloudy Friday. It's cloudy here also in Accra and sunny in Nairobi. Wow. See us. So good to know you. Great to have you. And Lilian, please say hi to us. Did you see that comment? Yes, Lilian, over to you. Say hi to us. What is it? It's sunny in Nairobi. You're in Nairobi as well, right?
I am in Nairobi as well, so I'm also enjoying. Yes.
All right, good to know. Awesome. So thank you, ladies, for joining us for this conversation. It's really about our entrepreneurs, right? Building founders for Africa's future. And the conversation is going to be exciting, obviously. We've had Prince, sharing the story, and I don't know what you think about that. Maybe quick reflections or pointers on Prince, my conversation with Prince. What do you think? What was your key takeout? And then we dive into our side of the conversation. I'll start with you, Lilian.
Sure. I really liked Prince's honest and very vulnerable way of sharing. And I like that he's brought that perspective of the African founder, because more often than not, you find that we are doing quite a bit of mirroring of what our friends in the West and Europe are doing, but that doesn't apply to our African founders. So I really appreciate that he brought that out, and also just maybe highlighting the crucial bit of having aligned partners. I've also been on the side of seeing, what misalignment can do to founders and ventures, and it's quite unfortunate. So being very intentional and being very aligned with your partner before you actually sign that contract or MOU is crucial, and I really appreciated that. So yeah, those are my two main takeaways from his session today.
Amazing. How about you, Eve?
I found this session very thought-provoking. And thought-provoking, where here I was looking at myself as someone who leads sustainability, and we go out and have conversations looking for partners. And a very good example is the example he was giving on take-back schemes, and looking at interrogating the intention, where it's a good program, but a partner could just come on board because they possibly want to tick boxes. So that was very thought provoking for me, and also ties in very closely with what Lilian spoke about, and that's the question on alignment. Just at the end of the day, the partnerships, the conversation, scaling is good, but at the end of the day, can we have honest reflections on the why? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we getting into these partnerships? And even for SMEs, for startups, it's actually okay to say no. If there's a misalignment in values, there's a misalignment in the why, I think we should build the muscle to be confident to actually just push back and say, this doesn't work. We won't engage in this particular way. And also just looking at take back, for instance, we've had partnerships locally, and especially now this one here, we are speaking about electronic waste.
Yeah.
We've had take back. So the take back culture in Kenya is still not that great. I don't know how that looks like in rest of Africa. So wouldn't look at it wouldn't compare to say in Europe or in other markets where new phone is out and you all go back and return your phones and upgrade, and you have, like, say, a payment system. But you're finding one of the challenges we are experiencing, especially around electronic waste, is people are still attached to intrinsic value. So you perhaps bought your first phone in 2007 or 2005, and all of us in the room, I can confidently say you perhaps have a drawer somewhere with gadgets you may never ever use, but it's just sitting there. But there's electronic waste EPR processes in place, but guys are still attached to intrinsic value. So perhaps it's either intrinsic value, it was your first ever phone, so there's a nostalgic effect to it. So we've tried different ways to get people to surrender e-waste, but it hasn't been great. Now, when we come to take back system, we've partnered with SMEs, and especially here we're looking at refurbishment. And when you're looking at refurbishment, for instance, in some instances, you're trying to look at a phone to be refurbished, and perhaps it's possibly just 20% of it is working. So a part can be taken, build something else, but guys so now the big challenge here becomes sustainable incentives. Someone is still stuck on, when I bought this phone, it was 7,000. Yet it's 25 years later, it's definitely not worth 7,000, Bob. But you're still attached to 7,000 was a lot of money when I bought it. Yes. So just even having the conversations on sustainable incentives. So now when it comes to that, there are processes we've tried, we've piloted, put a pause, but it doesn't mean that it didn't work. It's just rethinking on what is the long term.
Wow. I am attached to some devices. I mean, some tools that I feel like my mom got me this. I don't want to let it go.
Yeah.
It becomes a memorial. It's there.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And the take back system with the incentives that you touched on, it feels like there's a lot to do in our markets. I think it's not common to narrow. It's common to everyone. We experience it on the continent, how we
Okay.
refurbish, recycling, and all that. It's something that is, it's key here. Thank you for sharing that, Eve. Let's do something now. We heard from an entrepreneur. I mean, we've seen that entrepreneurs actually have issues, their challenges, and with the thing that both of you actually said that sort of stuck with me is the aligned partners, alignment in terms of values and all that. How can entrepreneurs shift from just saying that I need money, to saying that I need someone who would really build with me, not just give me money? I'm asking this question thinking of resilience, from the African entrepreneur. Can you say no? So we want to appreciate what does resilience look like in action. So I'll start with Lilian. In developing high impact entrepreneurs from Jasiri, for instance, what will be the mental and emotional tool that you perhaps utilize to teach entrepreneurs that there are actually dark days? It's not all about raising or finding a funder. You have to build a business. Help us appreciate the tools and the things that you do from your perspective in building high impact entrepreneurs. Really, for them to be able to say no and feel okay in the process, because they're building a business, and it's hopefully going to stand the test of time. Please share something with us.
Okay. Thank you so much, Andy. Yes. And I like that you've already touched on, some bits of how to push and survive. So just a bit of context. I'll share just a bit of what Jasiri does, just to give at least a bit more segue into what resilience is shared. So Jasiri works with individuals, very young, I would say young individuals who are looking to initiate themselves into entrepreneurship. And we work with them from the idea stage to concept. So we bring on individuals who have no specific idea that they want to grow in, but they're very passionate about entrepreneurship. So I would say from the get-go, resilience starts to show at that point, because at this particular stage, there's a lot of self-awareness that needs to be with you, and really try to encourage that with all the fellows that join our program. And I say this because, at this particular point, you have no team, you have no, full concrete idea, you have no venture, you have no traction, you don't have the nice numbers, right, to keep you going. So at this particular time, your self-conviction and your self-awareness is what drives you to stick through, this journey that you've embarked on. And it really pushes you to really reflect on who you are as an individual at this particular point, just to give you a chance as well to say, you know what, maybe this is not for me, or maybe entrepreneurship is for me. And one of the key factors that we do, even in the program, is that we teach a lot of the founders, the soon-to-be founders, is that it's okay to be very intentional about what you want to work on, right? And this comes out to play because a few months later, you unlock this funding and you will get a lot of partners who are interested in your idea and your venture. And at that particular point, that self-conviction really comes to play, because now you can easily get into a partnership that is not working out for you, or you end up getting into something that initially was not what you had planned on doing, right? So that's the first one, self-awareness and being very self-convicted and convicted in the work and the idea that you're doing. And the other one I'd say is definitely just failing fast. I think over the course of the few years that this program has been running, it's been running for about 5 years. We've seen a lot of founders, call it, and that's fine. You start an idea, it doesn't work out. The experimentation is not going as planned. No one is taking on the product in the market. There's no revenue, no partners are coming, knocking your way. And you tend to get very discouraged, which is typically for, normal scenes in the entrepreneurship space and as you build. But being very intentional to know that, hey, it's okay, this one didn't work. Let's see what we can do. Can we pivot? Can we move on to the next idea that we can possibly try and innovate on? So we really encourage to fail fast, right? I think we've seen over the course of the years that you can get very attached, same to our devices, you can get very attached to your idea and to your venture. And in some cases, it might not be the one for you at that particular time. Maybe the market is not ready for us or not for you. So I would say those two key tools is something we really insist on in the program, just being very conversant that it's okay to fail fast, pick up what worked, what didn't work, and then move on, just to build that resilience and to keep going. Because it's not the only thing that can be done, and there's a lot more that you can explore. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. If what can you add to that? I mean, from a corporate giant like Safaricom perspective, you are always seeing entrepreneurs, and I'm sure they are knocking on your door every now and then. What perhaps will be a blind spot, within this conversation of really building entrepreneurs who are resilient, entrepreneurs who are ready to fail fast? What perhaps will be a blind spot that they don't look out for, from the way you set, and your observation so far?
Thanks, Andy. And just to set context for the benefit of anyone
right.
who may not have interacted with Safaricom.
Safaricom, that's right.
So it's important to say that Safaricom, our vision is to be Africa's leading purpose-led technology company by 2030.
Wow.
We are the home of M-Pesa, Africa's largest fintech. So, and our purpose is transforming lives. So looking at a startup, and if I'm to give an example of a specific blind side that may be encountered, and we see this a lot, is one, and it's important to start from the why. You're getting into a conversation on partnership. It's important to first look at and interrogate the question on alignment. So I've said that our purpose is transforming lives. So what does that mean, and how does that show up every day? Is through our innovations, through our solutions, through our foundations in everything we do across the business. We are showing up every day to address societal challenges. So if we're to have a conversation with a startup, an SME, you're building something, you're building a solution. The first conversation is looking at what societal challenge is being addressed. In that particular area, it's one of the ways you can actually now start to build alignment on does it work, does it not. So in our case, we're also looking at the power of technology in transforming lives. So not just you give money and people worked and figured things out. It's looking at how can we incorporate technology in our everyday use cases so that we are transforming lives. So if I give an example like M-Pesa, at the time when M-Pesa was just an idea, what was the challenge at that particular time is people need to send and receive money. Is you're working in Nairobi, you're working in a city, you possibly have a farmhand back in the village, you have your parents, you have your relatives back in the village. You'd like to send them money, you need to pay wages. How was that being done before M-Pesa? Is you'd enclose money in an envelope, use a courier service, enclose money in an envelope, send it through the post office. If not a courier service, it's possibly use an overnight bus and send it through as a parcel. So the problem at that particular point was, how can I send money quickly? I've received a call, someone is ill back at home. How can I intervene quickly? So at that particular point, it was just addressing the send, receive money. But if you look at it over the 18 years, the solution has evolved into many things that it's now a lifestyle solution that I can confidently say a majority of the population is quite paperless, driven by M-Pesa, because we have about 84% of the population on that. Now, going back to a startup, you're having a conversation, and unfortunately, a lot of the times when people come to Safaricom, and also still in your intro, in your introduction, we are approached as this huge giant. So you're coming to this huge giant, and we've been operating for the last 25 years. There's lots of structures, there's policies, there's frameworks, there's a greater call of accountability to even demonstrate things like accountability. So as a startup, what could feel, with all the structures in place, from a startup perspective, I would imagine it could translate maybe as a complexity or a red tape. And what does that do? It means It doesn't mean that it will affect our interaction, but it just means that even from a due diligence perspective, there is a greater call of accountability and there's a lot more expectation, even from a due diligence perspective on the startups end. Then I think the final one I can mention is misalignment around expectation and timing around delivery. We've started the conversation today, and maybe the expectation could be, this looks like a simple thing, we can close it in 3 months. And in some instances, it could take 6 months, it could take 2 years, it could take 3 years before you actually nail a proper solution. So now going back to what Lilian had said, what Lilian had alluded to, is as you're getting into it is for both entities. So looking at myself as a corporate and for the startup, to have the flexibility and room to fail forward and fail fast. Look at what are the learnings and how can you use that to iterate. And in some instances, it may be important to actually call yourself to account and be like, is this a good time to pause, reflect, then come back to the table? It doesn't have to be go from the onset, a very short lead time, and you have a solution out. Because even if you're, and especially like say when you're speaking about innovations, and I can speak of tech innovations, in some instances, you may be way ahead of the game where you are innovating something and maybe there isn't adequate policy or governance to support that particular innovation. So that shouldn't inhibit you from innovating, but it's looking at how are you doing it in tandem. So I think from a startup perspective, there's the greater accountability around cultivating the patience.
That's right.
And the runway to just keep running even when it's not moving as fast.
Wow. The patience and building the runway, even though it's not moving as fast as you want. I mean, working with a large corporation and with everything both of you have shared so far, just thinking about this thing about collaboration. So let's take ePod as a case in point. That it's a giant, a giant corporate, and some startups always say to me, I mean, how can we work with this business like this giants on the continent? They have their innovations, they have their products. M-Pesa is the biggest fintech, platform on the continent, right? And then a startup has this innovation here, and they are nimble. A startup is nimble. They are agile. They want to do things quickly, and then they have a structured with red tape and processes in place, right? So what can you share with that in terms of how these startups can say that there is a mutually beneficial collaboration that could be explored here? In terms of your mindset in approaching this collaboration, there are a few things that you have to know. And then with the innovation that you claim you can deliver or provide for a Safaricom, we also have our KPIs, we also have our agenda. I need you to sort of answer this question with maybe a case study or maybe an example of a startup that has perhaps approached Safaricom and said that, okay, we want to do something with you. We've seen this in Kenya, want to address this together. How has that played out, and what can we learn in terms of how we can partner with a large corporation like yourself as startups or as entrepreneurs here? The learnings that we have to pick up in collaborating with an entity like yours.
All right, that's a very good question, Andy, and it's good that you point out the mindset. And when we speak of mindset, a lot of our projects, we leverage collaboration, and we don't limit it to size, skill, or anything.
Thank you for saying that. Size, skill,
yes.
Size, skill.
Okay. No. We are looking at what is the innovation, what societal challenge is it addressing, and number 2, we approach the table from a shared value mindset. So meaning, how do we work collaboratively where it's a win for Safaricom, it's a win for the startup, and a win for the society.
Wow.
So that is one of the things that we do. So, and I know Tiki sitting on the call, perhaps would be thinking, I'll speak about DigiFarm, MTBA, MCOPA. Those
That's
are
right.
all big innovations that are now running as subsidiaries. But I can walk you through a very new partnership that we signed, and that one is with an organization called Sistema Bio. And what Sistema Bio are doing is looking at empowering communities to produce biogas.
Wow.
So it's addressing innovations around technology. What's a tick for me? A tick for me is we're looking at how do we leverage climate tech solutions that can also support societies to decarbonize. So what is our intervention around Sistema Bio? They have the end-to-end on what are they doing, which communities, where is the pilot, where is it working? But we need to now introduce, they had now gotten to a point where we needed to introduce the component of incentives for these communities. So what is our intervention? It's embedding M-Pesa, where people can now do something we are calling bonga for biogas. So for the non-Swahili speakers,
Yes.
bonga is slang for talk.
Oh.
So every time you talk, every time you call, you earn bonga points. So that's loyalty points.
Wow.
So anytime you make a call on using your Safaricom line, you're earning loyalty points. And for these loyalty points, you can redeem your loyalty points either for airtime, you can use it to pay for goods and services in the supermarket, you can pay for a movie. So there's various merchants you can use your loyalty points to redeem that. But now what are we doing? Using your Safaricom line, you are earning your loyalty points, and you can use your loyalty points to purchase biogas.
Wow. Wow. Classic innovation in place. And from a collaborative, synergistic alliance perspective, I'm putting in the English language here because this is what it means to really drive impact at scale. Biogas, carbon emission, like addressing carbon emission challenges, building credit systems and incentives.
If you're to think about it, for us, we're very big on sustainability.
That's right.
We report on sustainability every year. So if, say, Sistema Bio would like to embark on a sustainability journey and even report and show impact,
let's imagine that. Amazing. Lilian, this is almost like an ecosystem building thing, right? In terms of how you create this inclusive growth with corporate small businesses to drive ecosystems development, and you working with entrepreneurs and all that. I just want to pick your mind on this. I mean, based on what Eve shared here, what has been the gaps maybe from a current entrepreneurship ecosystem perspective, like when it comes to collaboration, greater collaboration from your observation, and maybe a few touch on points based on what Lilian Eva shared so far, Lilian.
Yes, I mean, I have to also shout out Eve. I think Safaricom is doing wonders in the ecosystem. I've been in the room where they allow for entrepreneurs to pitch and venture reviews, and it's fantastic how they've really dedicated quite a bit of cause into this. So shout out to Safaricom for sure.
That's actually Spark Fund Accelerator.
Yes.
And guys on the road, we can check it out. We have applications going out every beginning of the financial year. Our financial year starts in April. So it's a 1-year accelerator program, and it's looking at also ties in on tech startups. So not limited to tech, but also looking at how can we embed tech. So some of the benefits is you get tech support, you get access to market, and for the top 3, you get access to capital.
Wow.
I mean,
let's take notes. We'll
yes,
put in.
Please.
What's your meaning?
No, I mean, please let them know about it because I think it's fantastic. Even I have been trying to prep my community of ventures to definitely give it a shot. Because I appreciate, Safaricom has the technical expertise, the team, the resources. So if you can get to work with them for sure, I think it is a plus for you as a venture and as a founder. And I really like that Eve has really, given the perspective of the corporate and being very intentional about the innovation
Yes.
being applied for them as well. And I think when we sit on this other side, the hope is that, hey, why don't you just give us an opportunity to showcase all these other many ideas? Because the challenge that I think we have seen and across the ecosystem in terms of collaboration and ecosystem building is that a lot of time is, of course, the alignment, but also the follow through in the collaboration and in the engagement. A lot of times you find that you're sitting in the room, you're engaging, a potential partner or a friend or an individual who's hopefully going to move something for you, but that follow through is not very, consistent and doesn't happen immediately, as Eve was saying. It takes a while, right? And for that while, you need to be very comfortable that as you wait for that yes to come in, definitely you need to keep surviving and you need to keep thriving. So one challenge that we've definitely seen, especially for the early stage, which is the area where we are primarily under, a lot of guys, because of that wait time, you find that they may tend to, of course, shift or pivot or divert, their agendas to try and get something that can get a yes faster, which is fine. But we realize that, of course, leads to some inconsistencies, and you end up not being as a strong, innovation. Because initially you had presented one thing, now you're coming again with another. So I think the first request on our end, honestly, and something that we also share with our partners is, even as we present these early stage ventures and innovators and founders, is that number one, of course, be very mindful of the fact that they may not have as much time, right, to wait for the yes and for the structures to go through. And we understand that, of course, in bigger corporates, that is necessary. But for the startup to survive, they may not wait out that long. But it also goes back to the timing, right? Are you approaching the corporate at the right time? Are you approaching your partner at the right time? Or is it a case of, desperation and going forward when you are still not yet sure that you can wait out the yes, or you can wait out the decision? And something that I picked up over the week is we were at a conference, and of course, one major conversation and point of engagement was, the working in silos, right? We've seen quite a bit of that happening. We have seen a lot of consortiums working together, but they only, of course, support individuals or ventures in that particular space. So the call was, of course, how can we amplify either cross-border collaboration? Can we amplify cross even corporate or cross-investor collaboration, just to allow a lot more people to find out what we are all doing or what each individuals, each parties are engaging in. And hopefully that would allow as well for the market and the ecosystem to see where to plug in. Yeah. And of course, it's a work in progress. I wouldn't say that it's not something that is not happening. It is happening. We've seen the same happening with the angel groups. The corporate ventures are doing very well and very proactive in sharing that, hey, we're having a call for applications. Please come on board and sign up. So we're starting to see that the amplification of this information is coming out there, but we still have some way to go. So hopefully, as we continue to engage in such forums, we'll get to highlight that, hey, I'm also working on this particular cause. Can you come on board? Let's work together. How do we diversify the support we're giving, and how do we even complement our efforts? Yeah, to this
Amazing.
collaboration and ecosystem building.
Wow. Wow. There's something that often, with builders that are here, and also those that are from an ecosystem building perspective, from the corporates, from the venture builders, and then from the enablers, the investors and all those kind of things. When it comes to collaboration, one thing that always comes out is trust. What are the key tenets of trust within the ecosystem, so that we know that when you're coming into the conversation and on board, I can trust you to say that you are going to hold your end of the bargain. You're going to ensure that you do what you say you will do. Help us appreciate this with startups, especially from the early stage perspective. The key element in building trust for you to come into the room with Safaricom and say that Safaricom can trust me to provide and to work with you in this context. How can we ensure that trust is ingrained trust building mechanisms are in place, that all this thing that we say will thrive quickly, like will move quickly, right? And what have you done from your side, Lilian, to ensure that these guys really come to the table with a certain element of demonstrating that they can be trusted?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that question, honestly. Very, very key question. And Eve can also let us know how they see
Yes,
it from the
yes. I'll
yeah.
definitely ask
Number,
Eve because
Mhm.
it's key.
Yes. So I think number one, and I think I've seen it, not even I think I've seen it, is that the consistency of the founder is crucial to build that trust. And it could be in very simple formats, right? And not necessarily even in the building and in the growing. It could be as simple as if you mention to a corporate or an investor or a partner that, hey, I'll action 1, 2, 3 by the end of this time, giving that information consistently and being very proactive in making sure that they are aware that, your end of the deal has gotten to this point. This is what you've been able to share. I think that builds, not even I think, it builds trust. And I say this even on my side, right? We do a small bit of funding, but even consistency in how the venture approaches you to share this information and give you a bit more updates of so far so good. This is what we've been able to achieve with our experimentation and our product market fits and our tests. It gives you a bit of validation that, what, this is someone who's working on something. This is someone who's actually, in the business and convicted into what they're doing, and they have answered their why. And that, of course, continues to sort of build that trust in you, in them. And we've seen that even with the questions we get from investors, right? They come forward and say, can we see, how far these individuals have gone and how far they've worked on, just to get a sense of their journey, right? Is it someone who's been moving on from one end to the other, someone who is also not sharing the same story across the different platforms they are on? And that inconsistency, of course, now comes forward and you're like, no, this is not the story. And I'm sure we've heard of a few cases where one pitch is different because you're engaging here and then it's a whole different other one. And that inconsistency spreads because, the ecosystem speaks, people connect, people talk. Um, People can call out some of these red flags. So we can tell that this is someone who's either bluffing or just being a bit of someone who's not the most trustworthy. So for my side, I would say number one, consistency, being very consistent in the work that you do. Keep building. As I said, it's okay to fail and fail fast, but if you're constantly approaching the solution with an open mind and trying to figure out how best you work around it, someone can tell and someone can believe that you are actually in it, doing it. And I'd like to hear from you because I can imagine for their end, they receive tons of approaches,
Yeah. Eve?
people coming to their door every time. Yeah, so I can imagine for them having to build out on trust is crucial because, I mean, yeah, there's quite a bit on the line there. So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Eve, over to you. Mm.
Eve, over
Thanks,
to you.
Lilian.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Lilian. And I think one of the things I should have mentioned at the onset is even while I lead sustainability, the wider team is sustainable business and social impact. And we have a team called Technology for Development. So this is the team that handles the innovations. I like to call them the arm of the business that is funded to try, test, fail, and they'll be rewarded for that.
That's
So
so nice.
meaning
Wow, so
Yeah,
good.
so meaning every other week they're receiving tons of proposals, tons of innovations, and they will support around product building. In some instances, look and see and like, not now. So back to the question on trust. What I think is important is for both parties to maintain honest communication. And honesty, transparency, those are currency to trust building. You can't escape it. And that one, I think it's a greater call two ways, both from a startup perspective and from a big corporate like ourselves. We owe it to our customers, the SMEs, that we can instill confidence and maintain mutual respect as well. So one of the ways that, if I can speak tangibly, some of the things that we do.
Sure.
is we will receive tons of requests, proposals. So we'll start off initially with an exploratory meeting. So the exploratory meeting is likely to just try and understand the idea better, understand their ask. And in that meeting or a follow-up meeting, one of the questions we're always very keen to pose, and we ask the proposal sender to confirm, from where you sit, what do you see as Safaricom's role? We don't want to define our role.
Wow.
Because you approached us, so we will task you as well to look and define what do you see is our role. Then we will use that opportunity to either provide steer, we can realign, and in some instances, the role is very spot on. But also, truthfully speaking, there are instances when someone comes to us with an innovation, and let me give an innovation that we are increasingly getting proposals on, that is on carbon credits, for instance. We are increasingly receiving proposals, requests from startups around a tech innovation, or even growing an innovation that can monitor. So right now, we already have innovations that perhaps we haven't talked about them in public, but we have innovation solutions at advanced stages. We will also disclose and let you know. It may not be possible, Andy, for us to progress with this conversation because we are already developing something similar. And why is that important? So that we don't get to a point and we have startups claiming that I shared an idea and big telco tech company took my idea and ran with it. Because that could, yeah, those things happen.
I was going to ask that question on behalf of the entrepreneur. I was hoping that somebody would even drop that
those
in the chat.
Happen.
It does happen, my dear. It happens.
Yeah, and when we get to that point where the solution has hands and legs and we see there's potential for us to work on something, we usually do an MOU, which also includes an NDA. So that ensures that both parties are covered. So in the MOU, it will have very clear articulation of what the roles are for each of the parties. If we're working maybe towards building or trying out a pilot, it will be very clear on what the timelines are, expectations, and desired outcomes. So we don't progress into more conversations until we have MOUs and NDAs out in place. So if you check Sistema Bio Safaricom collaboration, and you will see news articles on that. That was only out after we had signed the MOUs, and it was very clear what areas are we working on, what's the duration of the pilot, and what is the next step. So come end of the pilot, we will pause, take a reflection on what the learnings were, and that will inform, do we need to either get funding through T4D to either develop it further. And if I give an example like DigiFarm, for instance, when we started DigiFarm is an agro-tech platform. So you're looking at farmers, and at that point when it was starting, it was just an innovation looking at how do we send early warning messages to farmers? How do we remind farmers when the planting season is? It was mainly basic on creating an ecosystem, a platform for farmers. But the solution has since evolved where the government can now use the platform to disburse subsidized fertilizers.
Wow.
Farmers can now use the platform to get market access. But between product development, trying and failing many times, must have been maybe easily between 3 to 5 years before it started making money and it moved to the business arm. Now it moved from technology for development, where you funded to try out, fail. It moved to the commercial arm of the business. And right now, DigiFarm operates as a subsidiary.
Wow.
Yeah.
My people, I hope you are writing and getting inspired and understanding, the process that it takes to really establish yourself particularly in the context of partnering with a large corporate, ensuring that trust is almost like a non-negotiable for you. How do you demonstrate it? Through honesty, consistency, communication, end-to-end communication, and just being truthful. Just say the truth. Speak the truth, right? And let people be a part of what they actually are doing. It's in their blueprint. It's in their DNA. They want to build innovations. They want to collaborate to transform lives. So stick to those, key tenets. And then I think
one more thing.
Yes, go ahead.
Still building on authenticity. We also have numerous instances when an idea might be great, but timing is completely off.
Yeah.
Timing is completely off. So we'll also communicate and say, this doesn't, in fact, we are encouraged, like customer obsession is one of our pillars. So
Customer
we are
obsession.
encouraged, yes, customer obsession is one of our pillars. So meaning, how are we treating you? And even when you walk out of the table at the end of the day, what feeling do you leave the table with? So the idea might come in now. It's maybe not aligning with what the mission is this year. But based on foresight, I'm like, this might make sense maybe same time next year. And we will give you that feedback. And should we get to same time next year, if you're not available to explore, we've had instances where it's not possible for us to engage or move, progress the idea at this particular time. But we go back to the startups much later, and
Bring
so
them
it doesn't
along
mean
later.
that you get a no now, and it means it's not possible.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we actually at the tail end of our conversation. There's a time for me to check the chat and see if we have questions from our audience, and if anybody has something to share, also, to ask, you could do that. But the conversation is evolving. The things that we are saying now, we'll continue drumming it, and we'll unpack a few things, so that as African entrepreneurs, we really build well. It's not just building, but build well, build with authenticity. Authenticity, that say authenticity. Hey, authenticity. Build with trust. Build consistently, as
And build with
right?
purpose.
Build with purpose. Build with purpose.
The
That is the
purpose
mantra.
is important. Build with purpose.
That is what we stand for at Shared Value Africa. Thank you so much, Eve. Thank you, Lilian. We if there are no questions, it helps me actually, because I just saw the time and I was like, oh my goodness, Andy, be careful with the time. And so maybe final thoughts, and then we will just close this. What do you think is the most exciting opportunity now, from where you sit? Let me start with Lilian, for African entrepreneurs, and particularly for the alumni in this room, to drive impact with greater personal resilience, keeping purpose in mind, So please, from maybe Jasiri, what's exciting for you, right? What's exciting for you, looking forward that you see this happen on the continent, maybe next year, maybe 2026, right? The most exciting opportunity for entrepreneurs to look out for, from Jasiri, perhaps.
Thank you, Andy. Yes, absolutely. I think number one is look out for our applications. There are tons of opportunities. And I think something that I also want to encourage a lot of our potential entrepreneurs and those who are already entrepreneurs is that there are tons of opportunities currently in the market. I think it's gotten to a point where we have gotten their attention, right? And the world is seeing that, you know what, Africa is not just a breeding ground. It's a place where ideas and innovations are coming up, and they're coming up rapidly. And the continent is very viable for you to experiment and move and fail fast. Because of how immediate, I would say, our needs are and our solutions need to be, up and about running, there's a lot of opportunities for us to fail, innovate, fail fast again, innovate and work around to build solutions. So number one, there are tons of opportunities out here, Jasiri being one of them. We have our accelerator program and our incubator program. Please have a look. Applications will open up in the new year. So if you're looking to really scale and grow an early stage idea or a space that you'd want to explore and understand if it's something that you want to build out, feel free to definitely have a look at us, because that's what we do. We provide a space for you to try this idea, experiment, and see if it would work, right? And then, of course, number two is collaborate. I think one thing we've also mentioned it quite a bit heavily, even with our previous keynote speaker. We need to definitely work together and work as a team that sort of supports our ecosystem, our ventures, and even our investors. We are hoping to definitely bring forward the right solutions to the right people and to the right spaces. So collaborate, right? If you see someone who's working on something and you feel you can plug in, please approach them. I think there's nothing, there used to be a saying that the worst that you can only hear is no. So please approach these individuals, please approach these partners out there and really drive for collaboration. There's a lot of space for us to definitely scale and grow. And as I said, we are at an opportune time to really build out solutions for the continent. And we're really hoping that all of you will be with us as we continue to shift gears. Yeah,
Amazing.
that would be my takeaway.
Thank you. Thank you. Eve?
Mine is also still around collaborate, and not limiting it to looking at startup, corporate collaboration, even among the startups. What stops you from doing that? How are you leveraging peer learnings to ensure that as we are innovating, we are building with users in mind. We are building to solve problems. So if someone has worked on something, it didn't work well, let's also be comfortable to share the learnings, so that it's not every day you're opening LinkedIn and everyone is, I just won this big announcement. Let's also share the learnings, because it will help those who are coming after you to innovate and avoid, to innovate better and avoid the same expensive mistakes. And I think we cannot underestimate Africa's potential to develop homegrown solutions. So let's tap into that, because a lot of the time when we're looking for help, when you're looking for support, we're usually looking for what can the West do for us, but we have the solutions here. We've demonstrated that there are things that can be done. So let's work together and transform Africa.
Amazing. Amazing. I mean, such inspiring words. You wouldn't want to add anything else to that. So please, there you go, my people. Please collaborate. And it's a nice sort of segue into the next segment, our next conversation. It's actually on a product that the Shebel Africa built with collaboration in mind. We want the African businesses or African entrepreneurs to work amongst themselves. So when Eve mentioned peer learning, what stops you from learning from each other? We literally built a product to harness and enhance peer learning among African entrepreneurs. And then to explore collaboration with corporates. We have a feature that we will launch hopefully in the coming year for private companies to really see the work of SMEs, that they would just see their blueprint, their roadmap, and how they are building, and say that you guys should talk to us. We're ready to collaborate, to work with you, to scale. So it's called Jammy Trade. And Lilian and Eve, we've already had conversations about this. So please stick and stay in the chat board. There's a question in the chat board that I think maybe one of you may want to make an attempt to that, about how your organization is thinking about leveraging diaspora experience to best collaborate for progress. And I think there's actually a question that has been coming up, lately, about what the Afri-Exim calls the global Africa. That's diasporans, African diaspora. How we also leverage their expertise to build or to integrate them in our solutions and the impact that we all want on the continent. Because there are some diasporans who are very interested. They are putting money here, they're invested a lot. So please, if you could share some thoughts in the chat, that would be great. So the next segment, help me, bring in my jammy buddies, actually. These people, see their faces on the screen. Edka, Majite, Sarabel, Caroline. These guys have been doing some incredible things behind the scenes with our product that seeks to enhance peer-to-peer learning among SMEs, and then to build their capacity such that they can leverage the AFCFTA, the potential, the opportunity that presents us to hopefully trade among. But you need the information. So we are solving the information gap or the access to information gaps, something that the economics will call information asymmetry. So we really want information. We really want access to opportunities. Trade is built to do that. So please, Edka and Caroline, Sarabel, are you here? Let's see you. And then please share quickly what you guys have been doing behind the scene. And then take us through the session. I don't know how you plan this. Maybe Edka will talk to us briefly, or Sarabel will talk to us briefly, and then we then move into showcasing some of the things that we are doing from the Jammy Trade side. Edka, Sarabel, Caroline, let's hear from you. And then Caroline Majite.
Good afternoon. Thank you. First of all, I hope I'm loud and clear. Thank you so much for this awesome opportunity. My name is Edgar, one of the managers for the Trade. We're doing an amazing work with entrepreneurs across the continent. We're all about connecting entrepreneurs, training entrepreneurs every single month. Before I talk about our awesome work, I'd like to introduce the three amazing ladies. They can introduce themselves.
Hi guys, my name is Margita. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today and to chat about Jammy for a little bit. So my role with Jammy is that I am more of the messaging and the socials, and I make sure that we, send out the visuals and the posters so that you guys can see what we are doing and when we're doing it. And yeah, I absolutely love working with all of these people. We, I think, make a very good team. And we all have our roles. And then when it gets to the actual session, I'm usually the one who keeps an eye on the chat to make sure that the people who want to share but can't necessarily put on their mics, that they can also interact and engage, because that's the purpose, that's the goal, so that we can all engage and we can all learn from each other. And the goal is not to be experts, it's to just learn together and grow together and build up what we can. Whether you have started or whether you are getting started, that's the place to be. Thank you.
Nice. Caroline, wow. Like your background.
Oh, thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Caroline. I'm calling in from Uganda. For Jammy Trade, I always love to act as a moderator. It's always amazing to hear, to learn from many entrepreneurs who join, and I'm calling on entrepreneurs who are with us today. Please kindly join Jammy Trade. Here, it's how we'll get to know if you want to collaborate, partner with other entrepreneurs. It's a nice platform. You will really learn a lot. Thank you so much. Over to you, Sarabel.
All right. Thank you so much, Caroline. I'm Sarabel, based in Nairobi, Kenya. I do a bit of research on the content and curate and tailor to ensure that our Jammy Trade members are well enhanced and educated on everything happening in trade. And we basically just facilitate conversations to ensure that we are up to date, that we are engaging, and that we are enhancing trade in Africa. It's a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh,
we are not doing well with time, so let's move a bit faster.
Well, so my name is Edgar. My main work at Jammy Trade, I come up with the research topics because every single month we tackle specific issues that are within the continent, within the entrepreneurship journey, because sometimes entrepreneurship journey seems to be lonely, and we journey with entrepreneurs from the start of their business, from the idea they have. We get to have 2 sessions every single month. And I also manage the community. Currently, we have a community in Kenya. I also have a community in Uganda of young entrepreneurs doing amazing works with their startups, with their businesses. Just to share a few, I remember there's a gentleman from, he stays in Entebbe, who just joined our session. He's called Henry. I met him sometimes in Nairobi and just had a conversation with him about Jamii Trade, what we're all about. We're all about building entrepreneurs, that idea, how can they start? And he ended up starting up a wellness organization that focuses on aviators, that is people, professionals who are in the aviation industry, because he himself is an aeronautical engineer. And for 4 months right now, his organization is called Avimentis, that now has grown to last week, he was approved by the Ministry of Health. Currently is working with one of the airlines in Uganda. So for us, when we hear such testaments of entrepreneurs whom we have actually journeyed with in Jamii Trade, it's actually an experience that when we journey together as entrepreneurs in the continent, we'll be able to tackle so many issues, because the solution is amongst ourselves. And that's what Jamii Trade is all about. Why should I want to access a market in Ghana or in Morocco and it's hard, yet I'm an African? It's because of specific information or specific networks that we have not built in those nations. So Jamii Trade, we are all about networking all entrepreneurs, bringing ourselves together so that we can build a network of entrepreneurs who can easily network with one another, talk to one another, have access to one another, and even build economies. Because when we want to build the economy of Africa, we will not necessarily always depend on the West. It is amongst ourselves. When we build this ecosystem among ourselves and when we support each other, we'll be able to be the biggest force, because Africa has everything. We have the resources, we have the minerals, we have the most important, we have the people. We have the people, because just from today's session, in today's program, I've just learned so much. Imagine all this is between us. So Jamii Trade is right now we're on a website where we have different programs. You can kindly check us on our social media handles. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, on TikTok. I do manage the TikTok page. So kindly you can follow us and join us with the conversation. Kindly join our network, because we are a network of entrepreneurs, not only in Uganda or Kenya, but from different parts of Africa. We work together and we learn from each other. Every month we have at least 2 sessions every month where we get to tackle on different conversation. Last week we had a conversation on the mental wellness of entrepreneurs, and it was very nice because entrepreneurs were sharing about the experiences. And it was amazing when you're hearing what entrepreneurs are sharing from different sectors and industries. So we don't focus only on one sector, but we work on people. We work with entrepreneurs from different sectors. Kindly join us in our conversation, and we're good to go. Thank you so much.
Amazing, wonderful work, team. Let's hear from maybe 2 entrepreneurs here on the call quickly on whether you're on Jamii Trade, how have you leveraged it, and what's currently happening with you. 2 people who would volunteer to share quick stories under a minute. So I'm going to call a passionate leader to just step in and then help us appreciate where we are now, and then launch. Or there's someone who unmuted. Oh, a hand is raised. Edgar, go ahead.
Yeah, there are two entrepreneurs who are in the call from Jamii Trade. We have Moin and Abigail. Others, I think, have just left because of a bit of engagement.
Can we quickly hear from them, and then we bring in Tiki to share, our next cohort, because I wanted to also hear from the cohort members in our previous. We had a few people here, from Chibuna to my good friend. What's his name? Oh my goodness, I've forgotten his name. Anyway,
Ben?
Nesfori, all these guys, they are all part of the cohort. Yeah, Tiki?
I thought you were referring to Ben.
Ben, yes.
I was
Ben.
trying to help you to remember the name.
Thank you. Ben, Chibuna, yeah, awesome. Please, over to you, guys. So, Eka, is there someone sharing so that we hear from them and then we move to the cohort launch?
Yes, seems a bit noisy place.
Maybe people are too shy.
They are too
Yeah,
shy. They are too shy. Oh my goodness. African entrepreneurs are resilient and they are passionate.
There's one person.
There's one. Okay, Abigail, please talk to us real quick.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you very much, Andrew. It has been a while since we talked.
Yes,
I know you can't remember because you've been traveling and having.
I think there's a problem with Abigail's connection.
That's right, Abigail's connection. Abigail, your connection is not stable. It's not stable. It's not stable. I would have loved to hear from you. Unfortunately, we can't hear you well. So you know what? Nesfari just unmuted. Let's hear from Nesfari quickly.
I think there's a guy called Moin.
Moin. Okay. One has to hear from Moin.
Okay. Good evening. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm calling from Nairobi, Kenya. I am actually engineer Moin Nyongesa. I do software engineering as a part of Jamii Trade. And currently, I just want to talk about how Jamii Trade has actually helped me on growing up with my startup, because I'm just a young entrepreneur that I've just started in the field of software engineering. And the first thing that I want to air out about the Jamii Trade actually has enabled me to understand some of the things is how to handle customers and how to handle clients. That's one of the major things that as an entrepreneur, we need to focus on. And currently, I want just to say kudos to this meeting, because I've learned a lot, because I've heard from my fellow developer himself complaining about how he was facing some hurdles with his solution and how he was able to come up with that solution of to disperse an app application on his community. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Moin, for sharing that. And I'm looking forward to seeing more from you on the platform and then also with the team. Good to know you're a software developer. We'll definitely be in talks in the coming weeks. Edka, Sarabel, Majite, Caroline, please, digital claps to you for doing incredible and amazing work, steering the ship, with all the conversations, with everything that you're doing. Digital claps, everybody. I love this. Awesome. Awesome. So let me welcome our CEO, our founder, the most passionate Tiki Bernard, who is going to launch and tell us about what we should look out for our next cohort. It's been an incredible conversation. I've loved every part of it, Tiki. Share something with us and then move us forward.
Thank you. I just want to say this is not a launch. It is just announcing the next
announcement of
announcing the next cohort. So for
love that.
those of you that are on the call, and I know we've had quite a few people dropped off, I
Yeah.
just quickly want to say to you that what we are doing in February next year will be cohort number 10. So just for those of you that are on the call that's not part of our cohort, please reach out because we need you to join us because you do go through an approval process, from that perspective, because we want to know a little bit about you beforehand. So we only take, just for those, a bit of background, we take 10 to 15 companies. We don't take a huge lot of companies. We want 2 people from each company so you can support each other while you're learning. What we're asking from you is 3 hours a week for 5 weeks. And you will get some homework and you'll get some things to do. What we do from a content perspective, we look at strategy, we look at operations, and we look at people management. And yes, Andy, the course has changed a lot since you've joined us in 2021, I think it
I'm a
was, eh?
veteran. I'm a veteran.
Yeah. So you would have to come up for what do you call it? A
a reverse
refresher.
refresher course. I love that. Refresher.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing in February. Please follow us on Shared Value Africa to see the dates, and please reach out if you want to be part of the cohort, because we do a little bit of as I say to you, we do a little bit of an approval process beforehand. So that's all I wanted to say, Andy. No song and dance. To to tell people about the 10th cohort in February. And if you do know of some of your colleagues or some of your partners that wants to do it, or some of your friends or other entrepreneurial businesses, please get them to reach out to us. We would love for them to be part of the 10th cohort. So thank you. Andy, over to you.
Thank you so much, Tiki. Amazing. And since my cohorts, actually, I had a few members here for my cohorts. Benedict, Chibuna. We had a few interactions also with Prince. Our keynote, engaging me in a fireside chat. Since then, the purpose level training has moved so strongly, and now there are businesses that are thriving. Cure Energy is a classic case. We have so many other businesses. Moeni, Abigail would love to talk, but Abigail, I'm so sorry, we are not doing well with time. So here's my final sort of takeover. It will be great to see you join us, for our next installment, and then you can share everything. We're so sorry, Abi. Please, my people, thank you. Thank you. It's always incredible to be sharing these conversations. I want us to wrap up with a nice group photo. But the numbers, we're not doing well with the numbers, but we still do a group photo. If you can turn on your video, do that. I'll take a nice screenshot, and then we'll wrap up for the day. Amazing. Thank you, Eve. Thank you, Nasfari. Thank you, everyone. Please turn on your video if you can, and then I'll do a nice screenshot, and then you can smile and add some, I don't know, some style.
Don't we have to change the view? Me from a digital perspective and the oldest person in the room. Don't we have to change the view so we can see everybody on the screen?
I don't know about you, but I'm seeing everybody on my screen.
Are you? I'm not. I don't know why. Okay, well, it's okay as long as you see us. Okay?
Awesome.
Whoever is taking the picture just needs to switch, so that's okay.
Yeah,
That's
thank you. I'm not that switched on with the digital side, so.
Amazing.
So why is everybody's cameras on?
Yes. Well, a few of us have our cameras on. I think these are the people who are willing to take photos.
Okay.
Amazing. Okay. Taking a couple already. Okay. Nice.
Are we free to go, Andy?
Yes, we are free to go. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Grateful
Thank you so
for
much.
making time for this. See you next year.
Thank Thank you.
All
That
the
was
best.
lovely. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.